high school, it was a dream of mine to be able to play the game of football. I can remember as a child, my friends and I would go down to the local high school and we would watch our team play on Friday nights. I remember being fascinated by the entire experience. I remember the lights, the cheerleaders cheerleading, the band playing, and of course, the players playing, scoring, and giving each other high fives. And when I got to high school, I had a little different experience. When I got to high school, I remember signing up and I remember attending all of the practices throughout the spring and summertime. And as the days turned into weeks, and as the weeks turned into months, it was becoming abundantly clear that I wasn't going to find myself within a starting position. And that wasn't the hardest reality for me to accept, but it was the fact that I felt like I was letting my dad down. Now, my dad wasn't pushing me to be an all-star caliber football player, but it was the fact of his energy, his time, and his love in preparing me to be as ready as I could be for the practices and the games. I specifically remember throughout the week, and especially on game days, he would leave me these notes, these little scrap pieces of paper, just leave them in my lunch for me. And they would be filled with words of encouragement, they would be funny, and I remember specifically one day, on a game day, I remember looking through my lunch and not being able to find any pieces of paper or any notes whatsoever, and I thought maybe he had just forgotten. But as I pulled out my banana, I had noticed that he had written all of these words of encouragement and all of these funny sayings, a bunch of Al Davis quotes on this banana, and I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with the sense of being cared for and truly loved. And for me, that's what made it so difficult, knowing on game day, he would be in the stands behind me, looking at the back of my jersey, looking at my helmet as I stood on the sideline. And I just watched as my team competed. For me, it was, game days were the worst because they were filled with so much shame and humiliation that my dad would get off work early and he would spend his 3 hours just watching me stand around. As the years go by, the more I reflect on that story, the less it is embarrassing or hard to think about, but it really has transitioned in my mind to a story of a father who loves his child. That's why I felt like I have been dealt aces when it comes to an earthly father. And I think this is a great representation of the type of love that our Father in heaven has for us. A type of love that does not hunger for more and more, but rests satisfied. Now, this type of love is vastly different from the pop culture renderings of the type of love that we have grown accustomed to. Pop culture love tells us that in order to love, we must follow our heart or pursue our feelings. But most of us already inherently know that this is a shallow understanding of what true love is really all about. The writer M. Scott Peck puts it like this. He says that true love is not just a feeling in which we are overwhelmed with, but it is a committed, thoughtful decision because love is an act of will. Love is selfless. And I think that begins to just scratch the surface of God's love for us. A love that is not based off merit or based off anything we could say or do, but a love that is unconditional. As we transition into a season that's filled with consumerism and festivities, I pray that you are constantly reminded of a God that selflessly loves. A type of love that cannot stand to be separated from his children. For us, a son is given and a son is born, and that son would go on to take on the full penalty of sin so that we could have an opportunity to have everlasting life with God and experience His immense love for us.